Everyone, Michael here. Just a quick video. I wanted to discuss Tommy Robinson and discuss the fact that is he becoming a liability that needs to be cut loose? So let's get into it. Now, I'll do this video because I've just done a post on X explaining my thoughts. And yesterday I saw a video on Rebel News of Tommy Robinson organising another fundraiser, or not Tommy, but the Rebel News guy. And I did a post saying, Tommy Robinson seems to be taking more money from the British people than the UK government. And it seems like they're always trying to raise money for some lawfare matter. And don't get me wrong, most of the scenarios he deserves the support because he's done a lot of fantastic work. But at some point, I do think we need to look into the fact that Tommy has a history of causing unnecessary drama and acting impetuously. And I've seen him even admit it himself on the Andrew Gold interview recently. He said his biggest weakness is he acts impetuously. And it is his biggest weakness. And if I'm honest, he's becoming almost a liability. And let me explain it. So first and foremost, it's clear that he needs financial support for some of the things he's done. Like the grooming gang stuff, he's faced a lot of lawfare and he needs support because he's absolutely in the correct. When the government put him in prison for releasing the film, again, he's 100% in the correct. But there are multiple scenarios I've seen with him where he seems to create unnecessary drama. And this event where he fought back in self-defense, allegedly, against this person at the London station, I'd say, well, multiple things. You're a massive high-profile character. Why wasn't a chauffeur organised for yourself? If you go out, why are you walking alone? Take a couple of bodyguards with you. And if you're talking about money, do what Charlie Veitch does. Just put out an appeal for a couple of British men to act as his security when he's out. I'm sure he would have got volunteers. This is what Charlie Veitch does. So first and foremost, you need to understand, you need to have wise people around you, or be wise yourself and think, is it a good idea for me with my high profile to walk around London on my own? When you've got all kind of weird leftists and maybe radical Muslims in the city who are likely going to attack you if they get the chance. So while he's not wrong to defend himself, he's obviously right to defend himself, he shouldn't be putting himself in those situations, in my opinion. But I've also seen many, many scenarios where he creates drama himself. And he needs to be called out for it because he's not a perfect messiah. He needs to be criticised when he becomes a liability. And I saw one podcast where he was speaking with some American hooligan. It was kind of like a jokey thing. But then he ended up trying to fight the guy, like causing a massive drama. And he was even bragging to the guy like, hey, you're going to get loads of views. You're going to get loads of views. And it just came across as you created that drama on purpose because you're trying to get your friend views. And there's another scenario where one of the cases with the abusers, shall we say, up north, he was right to expose them. But again, he acted impetuously and he started filming the people in the court and all this stuff, or outside the court, which meant the case was put into contempt and they had to reschedule the case. So what he should have learned from that scenario is that whilst he was right to expose them, there's ways you do it, because the way he went about it caused the case to be put back and cancelled or whatever. So while he was right, he needs to get wise counsel around him to look at the situation saying, right, we're going to the courts, but what can we legally do and not legally do? He needs to have a lawyer and consult his lawyer over every situation he gets in to make sure he's not breaking any laws. I've even seen him brag about breaking into America on a friend's passport and going, yeah, I broke in, and thinking it was funny. But you've broken the law and you can't have any defense against it. So he should have been wise enough to think, well, is this a sensible idea? If someone like myself was around him, I'd say, don't do it, it's stupid. But from what I see, he has a lot of clout chasers around him who are riding his back. Don't get me wrong, he has some good people around him, like Liam Tufts seems all right. But there are a lot of clout chasers who will use him for clout and drama rather than wise heads who will say, Tommy, don't do anything stupid, keep a cool head. And even in Southport, I think Southport was a learning scenario for many of us. With the riots that were caused, we realise now that acting impetuously just plays into the establishment hand, and we need to use sensible ways to fight back. We need to fight back, but we need to be sensible, not impetuous. And without doubt, Tommy was kind of riling people up. Whilst he was obviously not to blame, when you go on social media after something happens and you go, oh, it's a disgrace, and you cause hype everyone up. And then a few days later go, oh, everybody needs to remain calm. Well, we need to learn now that we need to call for calm straight away. And that doesn't mean that we don't fight back. No, we must fight back. But if you fight back impetuously, then we're going to lose the fight. All boxers and fighters know that if you fight as a hothead, you're going to get knocked out. And that's essentially what Tommy does. He acts way too impetuously and needs some wise heads around him. And I came up with an analogy. It'd be like having the most talented footballer in the world. He's an asset. But if he gets sent off every 5 games, he becomes a liability to the team. And that's what Tommy Robinson is becoming. You know, how many lawfare cases is he going to crowdfund? You know, how many times are we going to have to defend him in the media? And we are entering dangerous and very serious times. You know, with potential civil war, civil unrest coming up, and we can't have liabilities. I will cut loose or suggest that we cut loose anyone, such as Tommy Robinson. If he needs to be cut loose, we'll cut him loose. All these far right crazy people going on about Hitler and crazy amounts of racism, saying they're going to deport everyone, not being sensible, cut them loose. Won't have any problem. Or the far left, cut them loose. We need sensible, wise people to lead the way, not impetuous people, not crazy people, just sensible people. That's what the English people are. We don't go for stupidity or for extremism. We go for sensible, wise, conservative leadership. And more importantly, it has to be done with the power of the spirit. We're not going to get our way out of this with purely the power of the fist or immature behavior. We need wise spiritual leaders who have the spirit of Christ, the spirit of the truth, and the spirit of the Father, not fake religious people. Because a lot of these people have a cross behind them and they're acting like clowns. We need true spiritual people who have the spirit of Christ within them and who can lead the way. And as I say, I support a lot of Tommy's work, but this is a video of constructive criticism. And I see a lot of people out here defending him, but sometimes people need called out on their stupid behavior. And I'm willing to do that. And we need to set higher standards. As I say, we are in war and we need great leadership, not hothead, immature, naive people in our movement. Okay, so that's the point of my video today. Comment below if you have any views on the situation, and subscribe to the channel if you want to join a movement of sensible, wise heads that actually has solutions to our problem with the power of the spirit. And rather than political and all these other solutions that aren't solutions, they're just false ideas that are not going to get us anywhere. Okay, that's it. Share the video with others. Subscribe if you're new. God bless everybody. Goodbye.